9 spine-chilling online dating tales. Terrifying encounters that will haunt your sleep forever in the quiet suburb of Maplewood, where tree-lined streets harbor dark secrets. Emma felt darkness creep into her life like a cold fog. She was a divorced single mother, navigating the unspeakable loneliness that gnawed at her heart. With every click of her mouse, she dove into the strange world of online dating, scrolling past grinning faces that seemed to hide more than just toothy smiles. Then she found Tyler. His profile drew her in a swell of charm, shared interests, the promise of adventure. They chatted late into the night, laughter punctuated by the light of her phone. But as he drew her closer with tenderness, a shadow lurked in each digital conversation, a sense of unease that coiled tight in her gut. Why did he want to know so much? In the days that followed, the once friendly faces of neighbors turned into abstract silhouettes, their whispers curling around her like smoke. Emma caught her own name drift among fragmented phrases like "what happened in that house?" "And you really shouldn't trust him." Goosebumps prickled her skin, but she shoved the worry aside. Tyler was worth the risk, wasn't he? But with each passing evening, Lily, her precious girl, would cling tight to her side. "Mommy, I feel like someone is watching us," she confessed, her voice trembling, drawing a chill down Emma's spine. Children's imaginations could be wild, sure, but the all-too-sharp edge of her daughter's fear was anything but imaginary. Then came the moment that shattered Emma's fragile sense of normalcy. She was washing dishes when she spotted Tyler through the window, lurking in her yard. His smile felt off, stretched too wide, too intense, sending a jolt through her. Panic bubbled up, taking form in the corner of her mind. The seductive idea of romance twisted into a thing of dread. Emma's mind raced. This wasn't love, was it obsession? Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. That day, Emma decided to dig deeper into the neighborhood's past. She discovered whispered truths about her home, the tragic stories that painted every wall. Each revelation pushed against her reality, revealing a pattern of disappearances that curdled her blood. Emma felt the walls closing in as shadows congregated in the corners of the rooms, and that once warm, safe home transformed into a chilling prison. Her heart raced painfully as she ran back inside to find Lily. What she found sent ice through her veins. The little girl stood in the yard, clutching a crumpled piece of paper that fluttered in her small hands. "Mommy, look what I found," Lily said, eyes wide with terror. As Emma looked closer, she saw the drawing, a horrifying sketch of their house, a shadowy figure looming ominously in the background, labeled the Watcher. The sun dipped low, shadows creeping across the floor, whispering warnings. Emma turned toward the window, the familiar landscape now strange and threatening. The night was thick with evil. Something was wrong in Maplewood, and she was trapped at the heart of it. What was lurking in the darkness beyond? Emma's heart thudded painfully against her ribcage as she snatched the drawing from Lily's grasp. The rough lines of the shadowy figure seemed to pulse with a life of their own, the label "The Watcher" piercing through her like a knife. Fear cascaded over her, threatening to drown her. She wondered if the stories she uncovered were not merely urban legends but sinister truths waiting to ensnare her. "Lily, come inside." Now, she commanded, her voice shaking. The little girl obeyed, and they retreated into the house like animals cowering from a predator. Emma locked the door, the click of the latch resonating like a funeral bell. Her breath quickened, climbing higher in her throat, choking her. "Mommy, I don't want to go to bed," Lily whimpered, curling up on the couch. Emma pulled her close, threading her fingers through her daughter's hair, but the warmth she sought felt distant. The darkness thickened outside, the trees swaying ominously against the dim light. She could only think of Tyler's wide, unsettling smile and how easily he slipped into her life. Was he the Watcher? It was a chilling thought that clenched her stomach. "Mommy!" Lily whispered, her tiny voice breaking the silence. What if he finds us? Silence swept over Emma like a shroud. She squeezed her daughter tighter, the dread pressing against her chest. He won't, sweetheart. He doesn't know where we are. But deep down, she felt the line nestle uncomfortably. It was a feeble defense against an invisible enemy. Suddenly, a loud thud echoed outside, piercing through the fragile tension. Emma's heart froze as Lily jumped, her tiny arms wrapping tightly around her. "Mommy, please don't let him in," she squealed, eyes wide with terror. "Sure, it's okay, it's probably just a branch." But even as she said it, Emma's throat went dry. Her instincts screamed for her to check. She stood slowly, every part of her aching to grab the phone instead. The image of Tyler's intent gaze taunted her as she moved toward the window. Peering out, she saw nothing, the night blanketed in black velvet. Yet, she couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The sound had come from the side yard, dark and inviting shadows sliding across the grass. "Mommy!" Lily's voice quivered. "Stay on the couch, please." "I'll be right back," Emma forced herself to reply, her own voice a stranger to her ears. As she tiptoed toward the door, a flicker of movement caught her eye. A figure darted past the trees, fluid and quick. Panic flooded her as the figure melted into the shadows. Racing back to Lily, she filled her arms with the little girl's warmth. "We have to leave, sweetheart. We can't stay here," she stated, adrenaline igniting her words. "Where will we go?" Lily mumbled, her face pressed against Emma's shoulder. "Anywhere but here," Emma replied, her mind racing. But with every step toward the door, the feeling that something was deeply wrong coiled tighter in the pit of her stomach. They moved cautiously toward the back door. Outside, the shadows seemed to breathe, swelling and retreating like a dark tide. As Emma grasped the doorknob, a low, chilling laugh spilled in the air, ricocheting off the night's stillness. They both froze, the sound sinking into them, full of a cold malevolence. It was a sound Emma recognized as Tyler's. "Emma! Come out to play," the voice called, smooth and taunting. The door felt heavier than lead in her trembling hand. They were no longer just escaping the house, they were being hunted. The hunter was close, and he knew her name. What were her choices now? With a rush of desperation, she led Lily toward the front of the house, their fate tangled with the stalking shadows. They had to escape before it was too late, but would they make it out at all? Emma's breath turned shallow as she crouched, instinctively pulling Lily closer as they glided toward the front windows. "Stay quiet," she whispered, a trembling hand stifling any sound from Lily's anxious lips. The laugh still echoed outside, dragging its icy fingers through the night, curdling her blood. "Mommy," Lily murmured, her trust gleaming in her big, terrified eyes. It melted Emma's resolve for a moment. She wanted nothing more than to soothe her daughter, but there were no words that could wipe away the dread coiling around them, squeezing tighter with each heartbeat. Let us just see. The impulse to confirm their worst fears pushed Emma to the edge. She peeked through the gauzy curtain, her heart thrumming violently in her chest. The trees shivered as a figure loomed just beyond the porch light, shadowy and indistinct. Emma's skin prickled with a blend of fear and fury. Tyler had come to play, and he wasn't joking. "Mommy!" Lily's urgent whisper jolted Emma back to reality. "He*s at the door." As if on cue, a soft knock echoed like a whisper against their sanctuary, followed by Tyler's unmistakable voice, now sultry and playful. "Emma, let us have some fun. I can see you." Emma's grip tightened around Lily's shoulder. "He knows we're inside," she breathed in horror. They were trapped in this room, two mice caught in a trap set by a predator who reveled in the hunt. "What do we do?" Lily looked up, wide-eyed and vulnerable. "We can't let him in, right? We have to stay hidden?" "Yes, we're going to hide," Emma replied, steering her daughter away from the windows. They scuttled back, hands entwined, into the tight space under the dining table, heartbeats sinking in the shadows. The heavy wood above provided a veil of safety, but felt alarmingly flimsy. The knock came again, signaling an impatience that sent shivers of dread down her spine. "Emma, I'm only here to play a little game, darling." Just open the door. No, she muttered through gritted teeth, her voice barely breaking through the thundering in her ears. You don't get to play. Through the filmy darkness, Emma could hear the crinkling of leaves and then silence. The fear clawed at her throat as the world outside faded. Had he left? Was this all a twisted mind game? Minutes stretched into an eternity, each second dripping with uncertainty. Then that laughter sliced through the void again. This time, it was closer. Come on, Emmy, you don't want to keep me waiting, Mommy, please. I'm scared. Lily whimpered, gripping tightly to Emma, their bodies pressed together like two frightened animals. Sure, Emma whispered soothingly, but she felt panic creeping in. We need to wait just a little longer. The words barely held power when fear flooded her veins. Then, the sound of shuffling against wood. Emma's heart dropped as she caught a glimpse of a figure moving clumsily through the shadows of the living room. It wasn't just Tyler, there were others. Her stomach twisted in horror, and she mustered her courage, rising slightly to peer around the tablecloth. There were 3 figures now. Friends of Tyler? Or something more sinister? Their faces were obscured, but she could feel their eyes boring into her, searching. Look, there she is! One of them called, their voice dripping with malice. Laughter burst forth, an awful chorus creeping closer, drowning out their desperate breaths. Emma? Tyler's voice rang sharp in her ears. You can't hide forever. As the laughter swelled with the threat of discovery, thoughts began racing through Emma's mind. She would have to face them, but how? With her heart pounding like a war drum, she realized the dire choice ahead wasn't just about survival. It was about whether she would give in to terror or take a stand for Lily. Suddenly, the back door rattled violently, and the tables turned. Could they escape through the darkened hallway before being caught? Would there still be time to make it out alive, or would they fall prey to the shadows that seemed to dance in the moonlight? The air thickened with tension, and Emma made her decision. Hold on tight, Lily. We're going, she breathed, leading the way into the unknown, where the shadows could either shield them or lead them straight into a nightmare. But would they find freedom, or was there no way out? Emma's heart hammered as she tugged Lily through the narrow corridor, shadows swallowing them whole. The laughter shifted, smooth yet sinister, behind them, a menacing echo that sent frantic chills racing down her spine. They raced toward the back door, every creak of the floorboards beneath their feet striking like a warning bell. Mommy, what if they catch us? Lily whimpered, her small voice tremulous with fear. Just be quiet, Emma urged, forcing herself to breathe. She felt a momentary flicker of resolve wash over her, a mother's primal instinct to protect her child. They had to get out. They had to find a way. But with every passing second, the presence of those figures was intensifying, their laughter merging into an ominous symphony that wrapped around them like creeping fog. They reached the back door, and Emma's fingertips brushed the cold handle. Her breath faltered as she hesitated. What lay beyond? The night stretched out like a black maw, waiting to swallow them into its depths. Yet the laughter grew louder, gleeful, shrill. Tyler's taunting voice danced on the edges of her mind. Emmy, where are you? Mom, please! Lily's eyes were wide with unshed tears, searching her mother's face. We can't stay here. I know, Emma whispered, but uncertainty coiled within her. Just hold my hand, okay? Before she could take a breath, she jerked the door open, and cold air whooshed in. The world outside was cloaked in darkness, illuminated only by silvery moonlight filtering through the trees. She stepped out, pulling Lily with her, forcing them both into the chill that wrapped around them like a bony embrace. They didn't stop to look back as they dashed away from the house, each step echoing against the gravel path. But behind them, the laughter had changed tone. It darkened, twisted, and morphed into something even more chilling, a cacophony of voices now clumping together. Run, Mommy! Lily cried, her tiny legs pumping furiously, desperation fueling her movement. Emma's gaze flicked toward the woods. It seemed alive, trees swaying like they had intentions of their own, their roots grasping hungrily at the ground. But there was no other option. The feeling of icy fingers tickling the back of her neck urged her forward. As they entered the trees, darkness enveloped them. branches clawed at Emma's clothes, pulling her back, trying to ensnare them. She stumbled but managed to keep her grip on Lily. Stay close. The woods became a labyrinth of shadows, and for a moment, they were both swallowed by the muted sounds of the night, the familiar chirping of crickets now distorted and warped. Where are we going? Lily's voice trembled. Just keep running. Emma gasped, panic surging with each heartbeat. Suddenly, a sharp scream cut through the night, rendering Emma's blood cold. It wasn't from them, it was distant, but so close. The sound echoed between the trees, setting her teeth on edge. Mommy, I'm scared, Lily cried, clutching more tightly to Emma's waist. They stumbled further into the rustling shadows, breathless, hearts racing in sync. After a few moments, Emma halted, pulling Lily close. The laughter seemed to have quieted, but it was abruptly replaced by something far worse: silence. A silence that held its breath, the kind that came right before a storm. Then the sound returned, not laughter, but footsteps. Slow, deliberate, crunching through the leaves exactly where they had been moments before. Emma's heart sank as she pressed her back against the rough bark of a tree, hoping the darkness would cloak them, and then she heard Tyler's voice again, not far off, smirking. You can't hide in the woods, sweetheart. We own these shadows. They were being hunted like prey, darkness enveloping them closer, threatening to squeeze out the last hopes they held. Emma wrapped her arms around Lily, feeling her small body shaking, but all she could think about was the cold dread creeping inward. What could she do now? How far could they run before it was too late? Mommy, Lily's voice was a fragile whisper, twisting through the empty space around them. The footsteps stopped. Emma's breath caught. Were they found? Please let us go home, Lily pleaded, her voice breaking. Every instinct screamed that they needed to move, but they were frozen as though the very air around them had turned thick with fear. Surrounded by the menacing unknown, Emma realized this wasn't just a game. This was a hunt, a chilling terror they might never escape. Just as Emma began to think about what to do next, from the shadows ahead, a new sound emerged. A voice, calm yet filled with malice. Where do you think you're hiding, Emma? The woods around them didn't seem dark enough anymore, and the true terror of the night loomed closer than she could bear. Could they survive the persisting darkness, or would they lose themselves forever? A shiver raced down Emma's spine. The voice wasn't just Tyler's, there was something else, another presence lurking, and it made her skin crawl. Mommy, Lily's grip tightened around her waist, knuckles white. Stay close, Emma whispered, her fingers trembling as they gripped Lily's small frame. Panic clawed at her throat, choking back any rational thought. They couldn't stay here. They couldn't give in to the fear creeping around them. The voice edged closer, smooth and taunting, brushing past the trees as if the darkness itself were feeding off their terror. You know the woods aren't safe for you, Emma. We're just playing a little game, but you're not following the rules. Emma's heart raced. The woods transformed, shadows shifting and dancing as if they had a life of their own. She imagined Tyler smiling, mocking them from the dark. Struggling to hush her thoughts, she fought the urge to scream. She needed a plan. They had to keep moving, but in which direction? Come on, she urged, pulling Lily further into the underbrush, branches snagging at her clothes and tearing at her skin. We'll find a way out. Every crunch of leaves beneath her feet echoed, a thunderous reminder of how utterly exposed they were, how close danger now loomed. Her mind darted as she considered the very real possibility of being cornered, trapped forever inside these haunting woods. A gust of wind swept through the trees, and the laughter returned. Higher, shriller, ringing with a false sense of joy that pierced the quiet night. It ricocheted through the woods, bouncing off the trees as though it were alive. Emma's pulse quickened. She could almost feel the laughter wrapping around her throat, squeezing tighter with each step. Then it hit her, the path. The narrow gravel road they fled down. Surely it would lead them back to safety if they could just find it. Mommy, I can't run anymore, Lily gasped, breathless and defeated, her small legs trembling. Emma could see tears glistening in her childless eyes. Just a little longer, baby. I promise, Emma's voice faltered. She didn't know if she could keep that promise. They stumbled deeper into the woods, searching for the flicker of moonlight that might guide them. Each shadow seemed to morph, becoming more sinister, more threatening. It felt as if eyes were watching them, lurking just out of sight. "Mommy? What if they catch us?" Lily's voice quivered. Emma felt her stomach twist. "Then we will fight. We want to let them win." Each word felt heavier than the last as dread seeped into her resolve. Suddenly, silence fell again, swallowing the air around them. It was a stark contrast to the chaos they'd fled. Emma stood still, trying to catch her breath, listening, wishing she could hear anything. Then, a rustling sound nearby pulled her focus. "Shh!" she whispered, pulling Lily against her leg. The noise was softer this time, almost a whisper, like the brush of someone moving through the bushes. "Emma," the voice emerged again, clear and delicate, a perfect imitation of her own. She felt her heart stop. "How?" "Come play, Emma, we just want to play." "Mommy? Who is that?" The fear in Lily's eyes mirrored her own. "It's not real, sweetheart. Just keep moving." But before she could finish, an icy wind whipped through the trees, shaking limbs and sending leaves swirling around them. Emma winced as something cold brushed against her hand, an unseen presence that felt eager, hungry. "Don't ignore us. You can't escape," the identical voice sang, unnervingly cheerful. Emma turned, her breath quickening. They were no longer just hiding, they'd become the hunted. And in this game, darkness had the advantage. "Lily, we have to." Something cracked nearby, a sharp snap that froze her words in her throat. Footsteps again, quick now, closing in. Terror gripped her heart. This time, the laughter built, a cacophony that surrounded them, circling closer and closer. Were they getting ready to pounce? "Mommy! I'm scared." Lily's panicked voice broke through, but Emma's mind raced, focusing on the only option left. "Run!" Emma screamed, breaking into a sprint. Fear propelled them as they broke free of the trees, the shadows howling behind them. But the path ahead twisted like a serpent, elongating into a dark tunnel that beckoned them deeper into the woods instead of leading them back to safety. "Don't look back," she urged, her heart pounding as dread coiled tighter around them. "Just keep running. We have to find the lights." But the path continued to narrow, and the laughter behind them grew deafening, drowning out everything else. As they pushed forward, Emma felt something wet on her leg, a brush of something dark brushing against her. The realization hit her like a physical blow. "Mommy, what was that?" Lily gasped. "Keep moving!" Emma shouted, but the words felt hollow. Just ahead, a flicker of movement caught her eye. Was it an opening? Safety? Or was it a trap ready to ensnare them once and for all, waiting to swallow them in darkness? The chase was far from over. The nightmare had only just begun. The ground trembled beneath their feet as they darted forward, frantically seeking any sign of salvation. Emma barely had time to process the wetness on her leg, the night air thick with dread, yet the flicker of movement ahead promised either hope or annihilation. The laughter crescendoed, turning into howls that bounced off the trees, clawing at their backs, feeding on their fear. They hadn't just drawn the attention of whatever haunted these woods. They were now the prey. "Mommy!" Lily squeaked, her voice cracking as she stumbled. Emma felt herself falter too, her heart hammering, each beat a reminder that they were still alive, still fighting. But for how long? "Just a bit further," she urged, her breath ragged. As they broke through the final line of trees, Emma froze, rooted in terror. Before them stood a clearing, bathed in dim moonlight, marred by shapes that twisted unnaturally in the darkness. Shadows that were more than just trees. "Please, please let this be okay," she murmured to herself as they stepped into the space, a cowardly hope flickering. But the joy of release quickly dissolved into horror. Figures slithered at the edges, their outlines shifting as if the very air around them crackled with malevolence. They watched, unnervingly still, their eyes glinting like shards of glass reflecting the moonlight. The deeper Emma looked, the more she felt their gaze pierce through her, like being unwound thread by thread. "Mommy?" Lily's voice was a whisper now, laced with fear. "Stay with me. Emma commanded, gripping her hand tight, refusing to let go even as panic squeezed at her chest. But the silence stretched, rolling over them like a heavy fog, and for a moment, time stood still. Just as the darkness began to press in closer, suffocating in its intensity, the figures inched forward, their movements fluid, almost playful, as they encroached upon the mother and daughter. "Join us, join the fun," one figure beckoned, its voice dripping with insidious sweetness, its appearance shifting like the mirage of smoke. The others giggled behind it, an unnerving echo of laughter that twisted through the air, mingling with the rustle of encroaching shadows. Emma's heart raced, panic igniting her instincts. She couldn't let Lily get caught in this web. "Run around them, sweetheart. Don't stop." With a deep breath, Emma pulled Lily toward the edge of the clearing, the thrill of survival washing over her as adrenaline surged. The figures darted closer, but the girls sprinted away from the center of that haunting laughter, back toward the trees that threatened to consume them. Branches reached for them, slashing at their ankles. Emma stumbled, but Lily managed to keep pace, calling out encouragement. They could hear the mocking laughter still, echoing behind them, resounding now as a cacophony of despair. "Where are we going?" Lily gasped, hope fraying in her voice. "Wherever this path leads. Just don't stop," Emma replied, even as uncertainty gnawed at her resolve. As they surged forward, she felt the darkness clawing at her back, a cruel reminder of how close they were, how close she had let them become to the edge of nightmares. They burst into another clearing, the familiar winding path appearing for a moment like a beacon. But it was riddled with obstacles, roots and rocks jutting from the earth, eager to trip them. Spinning around quickly, Emma told herself it would be fine. They would find a way. They had to. But before she could react to the sudden stillness, the figures from moments before emerged from the trees, converging in front of them like a storm cloud ready to unleash itself. "Stop, play with us," aligned in a wicked circle, they grinned, teeth like jagged stones. Emma's heart sank, the weight of impending doom crashing down. "No!" she screamed, pushing Lily behind her, ready to confront whatever darkness lay ahead. "Mommy!" Lily whimpered, her small voice trapped in the terror thickening the air around them. As Emma faced the figures, her heart-pounding lips whispered the words of the game they had become a part of. "Can you outrun the night?" one asked, tilting its head in mock curiosity. "Mommy, I'm so scared." "Me too," Emma admitted, but they had to fight. There was no other choice. Taking a step back, she turned towards the dark woods, preparing to push through again when she noticed something glinting where their shadows converged. Was it a light? "Lily, come on! We need to reach the glimmer!" But as she sprinted forward, Emma didn't realize just how fast the shadows were closing in behind them, ready to wrap around the two of them in a suffocating embrace. And as they neared the light, a creeping sensation brushed along her neck with a hiss, the presence solidifying right behind them. "Emma? Run!" But the figure reached out, fingers almost brushing her shoulder, as darkness overcame the clearing, swallowing the last light. Just what awaited them in that terrifying void? Would the shadows consume their hopes, or was there a chance, however small, of escape? The darkness enveloped them, swallowing sound and voice, as if the very fabric of reality had frayed and twisted. Emma felt the pull of that shadowy presence graze her skin, a cold breath that sent ripples of the unknown skittering down her spine. She squeezed Lily's hand, feeling the dampness of fear between them, and they pushed forward one foot in front of the other, hearts racing in a synchronized drumbeat of terror. "Keep your eyes on the glimmer!" Emma yelled, her voice hoarse as they darted toward the fading light. Each step felt heavier, the ground like quicksand beneath their feet. But she could see it now, a beckoning shine, dim yet firm, like a lighthouse in stormy seas. Then, the laughter erupted again, bouncing off the trees, an echo distorted like a memory stretched too thin. "You can't escape!" the figures cooed, the sound slicing through the air with sharp edges. "Join us!" "No!" Emma shouted, fiercely determined. She would not let those hollow smiles take her daughter. "Keep running, Lily!" Lily's small feet pattered behind her, their rhythm a fragile promise of hope. Emma dared a glance back, just for a moment, and what she saw froze her blood. The figures had multiplied, their forms melting and morphing, formless figures twisting and crawling through the night like a sea of shadows converging, no longer content to watch, but part of the pursuit. "Mommy! I can't run any more!" Lily cried, the desperation in her voice lighting a fire of urgency within Emma. They were so close to the light, yet it flickered as if signaling a warning rather than a safe haven. Emma gritted her teeth and pressed on, fueled by love and terror. "Just a little further, sweetheart. We can't give up." Her breath came in short, frantic gasps, but she would not allow fatigue to hold her back. Not while Lily was beside her. The path narrowed, branches reaching out like skeletal hands seeking to trap them. The shadows snickered with every stumble, congregating closer as if the brambles were part of their game, a twisted obstacle course meant to test their resolve. Finally, they burst into another clearing, the light now surprisingly bright, revealing a circle of soft, shimmering grass. But there was something wrong. The air in this pocket felt thick and heavy, a deceptive balm that wilted their defiance. "Are we safe?" Lily panted, eyes wide and reflecting the glow. Emma turned, a new resolve swelling in her chest. "Yes. This light," a low rumble interrupted her, vibrating through the ground like the growl of a hungry beast. When Emma looked back, the figures were gone, but shadows still crept along the edges of the clearing, whispering secrets too dark to comprehend. "Join us," the voice echoed, softer this time, almost coaxing. Not far off, wisps of fog began to swirl like a living mist, curling around their feet, tethering them to the ground. "Mommy!" Lily's voice cracked again as she stared into the fog, something gleaming in its depths. It was the glimmer again. But Emma's gut twisted in warning. "Don't look! Don't, Mommy!" Lily wailed, breaking away from Emma's grasp, her fear morphing into resolute fascination. She stepped closer to the fog, mesmerized by the twinkling beacon hidden within. Emma lunged forward, but the ground shifted beneath her, roots tangling around her ankles, holding her back. "Lily, no!" Emma screamed. The fog thickened, swirling with excitement, and laughter rang out once more, melodic and sinister. Figures began to re-emerge, circling the clearing, their eyes glinting with hunger. The gleam turned brighter, entrancing, but Emma felt the snares of despair tightening. "Stop!" she cried desperately. Uncertain whether to flee or fight, she strained against the roots holding her fast. What lay within that fog? Danger? Or an escape? With her heart racing, Emma realized the light might be a trap, a dangerous lure. "Lily, come back!" she shouted, terror clawing at her steadily unraveling control. With each second, panic surged like wildfire. She had to act. But was the courage to pull Lily back from that captive glow worth the risk? And as the figures drew closer, Emma understood, escape wouldn't come from the light. "Mommy, it's calling me!" Lily cried, her feet almost lifted off the ground. Don't give in. We need to." But the finality of the moment unfurled swiftly around them, darkness ready to ensnare. Emma had only a heartbeat to decide, the shadows whispering promises and lies all at once. To save her daughter or to trust the light. What lay ahead? More horror, or possibly an unexpected revelation? "Emma, please!" Time crumbled, falling away as she took a staggering step toward the glimmer, a choice bridging two realities. Would it lead them home or into the maw of nightmares? As the laughter crescendoed anew, drowning all hope, uncertainty hung in the balance, dark as the abyss now closing in around them. Emma's heart thundered in her chest, the weight of indecision suffocating. The glimmer in the fog twisted and pulsed, a beacon that promised safety but beckoned danger. "Lily, don't you dare move!" Her voice sliced through the encroaching darkness, but it felt like a whisper against the roaring chaos around them. Lily's small body teetered at the threshold of the fog, entranced by the brilliance that flared like fireworks inside the mist. Emma clawed at the roots binding her, desperate to break free, to rescue her daughter from this seductive trap. "Come back!" she shouted, but her words melted into the laughter, the sinister chorus curling around them like a cold wind. Every ounce of maternal instinct screamed for her to save her child, yet the ground gripped her tighter, imprisoning her in despair. The fog swirled, revealing flashes of hidden figures dancing within its depths. Shadows drifted, undulating like smoke, revealing eyes that glimmered with an insatiable hunger. The figures whispered, their voices now a low hum, enticing and taunting. "Join us, you will never feel alone." The invitation twisted Emma's insides, a promise that felt like a lie wrapped in silk ribbons. "Lily!" Emma yelled, breaking through the hypnotic chant. "It's not real! You have to listen to me!" But the little girl stood frozen, captivated. "Mommy, it's so beautiful!" Her expression was innocent, but Emma saw the hint of something darker lurking in her gaze. With one final pull, Emma felt a surge of strength. She summoned all her might, pulling against the roots that held her captive. The energy surged through her limbs, fierce and alive. "Lily, look at me!" That seemed to catch her daughter's attention, if only for a second. Lily turned, her eyes reflecting confusion. The glorious glow flickered, almost sputtering like a dying flame. "Mommy, I'm scared!" Lily cried, her small voice breaking through the fog's lure. "Then come to me!" Emma pleaded as she strained toward her daughter, feeling the grip of despair begin to loosen just enough for hope to seep in. Lily took a step back, uncertainty flickering across her face. The figures shifted once more, their semblance shifting between grotesque and serene. "What is your mother hiding from you, little one?" One crooned, a sinister grin stretching across its shadowy face. "Would you give up the chance to see the truth?" "No! Don't listen to them!" Emma shouted, panic erasing all semblance of calm. She could see Lily wavering, torn between the figures' promises of understanding and the thundering love her mother offered. The fog thickened, blocking the last remnants of light, as the chorus of figures began to chant louder, drowning out Emma's pleas. Join us forever!" Sudden fury erupted within Emma. If they were to escape, she had to break this cycle. "I will not let you take her!" With one last ferocious tug, she tore the roots from her ankles and charged forward, plunging toward her daughter. The ground trembled beneath her, shadows recoiling, but not before she felt an icy hand graze her arm. "Join us," it whispered, and she felt its touch, cold and slithering, sending shockwaves of terror through her veins. In that instant, her lips curled upward in fierce defiance. "Not today!" With every ounce of strength, Emma lunged for Lily, snatching her daughter just as the fog surged, a tidal wave of shadow ready to swallow them whole. But as she turned to flee, the figures erupted into a monstrous scream, a sound so horrific it clawed at the edges of sanity. Emma could feel the darkness pulse behind them, hungry, furious, and relentless. The clearing shimmered, distorting as the fog enveloped the air around them. All the light was fading, slipping through her fingers like sand. "Run, Lily! Run!" Emma screamed as her feet finally found the solid ground, pounding through the opening into the woods. But as they sprinted away, the shadows chased after them, slipping through the darkness like oil. And even as Emma held her daughter tightly, she knew the chase had just begun. What awaited them in the depths of the forest? More tricks, more traps, or perhaps the cold realization that what they fled was only the beginning of their nightmare? The howling laughter echoed through the trees, and Emma felt the cold grip of truth. They would never be alone again. Branches whipped against Emma's face, sharp and jagged as if trying to keep them from escaping the horrors they'd just fled. The whispers of the figures were still behind them, echoing ominous promises that coiled deeper into her mind. "Mommy, they're still coming!" Lily cried, her tiny voice breaking through the chaos. Fear clawed at Emma's chest. She dimly felt the weight of dread pulling at her, a reminder that innocence was a fleeting thing. "Just keep running, baby. We can't stop," Emma urged, adrenaline coursing through her veins like fire. They weaved through the trees, the bark slick with moisture, slick with fear. Every rustle of foliage felt like fingers reaching out, desperate to snatch them back into the fog. Emma's breath came in short gasps, the cold air biting at her lungs, but she refused to look back. Each footfall echoed the sheer terror of their chase, vivid in her mind. Back in the clearing, the figures lingered, shadows twisting and reforming as they howled in frustration. Emma could almost hear the laughter still echoing like a distant drumbeat, resounding in her head. Suddenly, The ground shifted beneath her. Emma stumbled a tree root, hidden in the undergrowth, caught her ankle. She pitched forward, arms flailing, panic surging as she tried to shield Lily from the fall. They landed hard in a small, muddy dip, and the world around them dimmed for a brief, terrifying moment. Emma felt the breath knocked out of her, as a wave of dread washed over her, a sensation like the fog reaching out to swallow them whole. "Mommy!" Lily shrieked, clutching her tightly as the shadows slithered closer, moving stealthily through the underbrush. Emma's heart sank deeper with every rustling whisper that brushed against her. The figures had to be close now, lurking just beyond their reach, their voices mocking and cruel. "Shh," Emma whispered, forcing herself to sound calm as she pushed herself up. "We have to be quiet." But the laughter crescendoed, filling the air with its chilling melody. "You think you can escape?" it sang, each note sharp and taunting. "The forest is ours, you will never feel safe again." Drawing in a shaky breath, Emma glanced at the trees. Musty and ancient, they loomed above like silent witnesses to their plight. Each trunk felt alive, pulsating with the unseen horror coiled within the darkness. "We need to find a way out," Emma whispered to Lily, whose eyes widened with terror. They scrambled to their feet, and Emma took her daughter's hand, guiding her through a narrow path between the trees. A sudden rustle made them freeze. The presence of something unknown lurked just beyond their sight. Emma's heart raced as she strained to listen, dread pooling in her stomach. "Is it them?" Lily whispered, eyes darting around. "Stay close to me," Emma instructed, her mind racing through desperate plans for escape. If they could just get far enough, if they could reach the edge of the woods, maybe they would find safety. But the shadows crept closer, whispered words coiling tightly around her. "Why run from a family? You belong with us." "No," Emma spat, pushing down the panic. "We are not a part of you." But doubt seeped in. Could they survive without succumbing to this darkness? Emma could feel it tempting her, a siren's song promising a release from fear, offering twisted comfort. "We're almost there, Lily," she reassured her daughter, though uncertainty gnawed at her heart. Each step felt heavier, filled with a creeping dread. And then, from behind them, a low growl rumbled through the air, vibrating in Emma's bones. Not just shadows, but something more tangible was hunting them. "Run!" she screamed, urgency propelling them forward, ignoring the fatigue in her legs. Shadows raced beside them, feet slipping through the nooks of the forest floor, darkness licking at their heels. Just when Emma thought they might escape, a chilling laugh pierced through the chaos. "Join us, forever!" Suddenly, the ground beneath them shifted again, revealing a gaping darkness that seemed to pull them in. Branches grabbed at them desperately, but before she could react, the world tilted, and they both plunged down into the void below. "Mommy!" The scream echoed, swallowed by the ground as Emma felt the rush of falling, a sharp void that promised no end. Would they meet the darkness, or would they fight their way back to the light? As they fell deeper, Emma's heart raced with the chilling thought it was only just beginning. Emma could feel the pull of the abyss closing around them. The chilling rush of air whipped past, merging with Lily's terrified screams as they spiraled downward into darkness. It felt endless, a bottomless pit where shadows mocked their fear. Panic clawed at Emma's throat, but amidst that chaos, a flicker of bravery ignited within her. "Hold on to me, Lily! Just hold on!" she shouted, tightening her grip on her daughter. The weight of what lay below pressed heavy on her, but within that weight, an ember of hope flickered. They couldn't end here. Not like this. Suddenly, with a violent jolt, the world around them stopped. They landed hard on damp soil, the impact jarring every bone in Emma's body. Groaning, she instinctively shielded Lily with her own frame, her instincts igniting a protective fire. As she lay there, the darkness closed in, thick and oppressive, but then something miraculous happened. The shadows seemed to withdraw, a retreat rather than an attack. "Mommy, I can't see anything," Lily sobbed, her small face pressed against Emma's shoulder. "It's okay, baby," Emma whispered, her voice steadier than she felt. "We'll find a way out. We always do." The air felt different in this new place, cooler, still, almost tranquil, yet heavy with expectation. Breathing deeply through the fear, she pushed herself up, surveying their surroundings. There was no light, but she could discern outlines, a labyrinth of roots and craggy stones, a hidden world within the earth. "Stay close, Lily. We have to move," Emma instructed, finding the strength to be their anchor. They stepped carefully, the ground squelching beneath them. Each footfall felt like an echo, reverberating an unsettling reminder that they were not alone. "Mommy," Lily's voice trembled, "what if they find us here?" Emma bitterly turned the thought over in her mind. Could they truly escape the looming shadows that had haunted them at every turn? "They won tea," she reassured, yet unease crept into her resolve. Then, from the darkness came a sound low and rumbling like distant thunder. A deep, familiar laugh that sent chills through Emma's core. "Ah, my dear Emma, are you finally ready to stop running?" It was Tyler, his words dripping with mockery. She felt her heart pound violently against her ribcage. "It's just a game, sweet Emma. Just let us have our little fun." "No!" Emma barked, panic erupting into fierce defiance. She wouldn't back down, not now. "We're not playing your game." With newfound determination, she pulled Lily close and stumbled forward, clawing her way through twisted roots, each step a rebellion against the darkness that held them captive. "This isn't a game. It's our freedom." The laughter morphed, a discordant sound that seemed to echo off the walls of this subterranean nightmare, bouncing back into their ears, urging them to turn back. But Emma pressed on, driven by an instinct she refused to question. "Keep going, stay with me," Emma urged Lily, who clung tightly to her hand, fear glimmering in her eyes but determination flaring still. Then they stumbled upon a faint shimmer, a glimmering light farther down the path. With every ounce of her strength, Emma propelled forward toward it. The shadows recoiled momentarily, the taunting laughter fading behind them. Perhaps there was hope. "Look, sweetheart! Light!" Emma exclaimed, reaching for that beacon with a surge of desperation. They raced forward, fueled by instinct and hope. As they approached, the light pulsed softly, illuminating a stone wall covered in ancient symbols, a door, old and worn but pulsating gently, as if it held a heartbeat of its own. "Mommy, is it safe?" "Let us find out," Emma said, uncertainty still biting at her insides. With trembling hands, she reached for the door, feeling its warmth radiate through her fingers, washing over her anxiety. The moment she pushed the door open, blinding light consumed them. It felt like stepping out of a nightmare into the warmth of a sunlit day, fresh and crisp. They stumbled out into an open field. The laughter faded, disintegrating into the air like vapor, leaving a solitude that was strangely comforting. "Are we safe?" Lily's voice was small yet unyielding, her eyes scanning their surroundings. Emma pulled her daughter into a tight embrace. "Yes," she whispered, the weight of the world lifting off her shoulders. "We're safe." Tears of relief spilled down Emma's cheeks as she released her hold, staring into the endless blue sky above. The shadows had retreated into the depths, they wouldn't take them again. Not today. As they took their first steps into the heart of the field, Emma felt a different kind of strength wash over her, a warmth that reminded her of what love could do. The darkness didn't own them, it never had. "Let us go home, Lily," she said, the finality of her voice ringing with certainty. Together they walked on, hand in hand, ready to embrace a new day, knowing their bond could weather any storm. Emma turned her back on the shadows, revealing nothing but the paths ahead now filled with light and resilience. This was their moment. Their victory, and as the horizon opened up before them, Emma held tight to that hope, the sun shining brighter with every new step. Now it's your turn. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this wild conclusion. And don't wait even one more second, immediate share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. True fans like you understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Let us grow this community together.